Let's talk about the global budget method of paying hospitals. With global budgets, we can think about them as a way of paying for inpatient care, and they'd easily extend to cover outpatient care provided by the hospital too, which is different than some of the other hospital payment methods that you sometimes hear discussed. In a global budget model, a hospital is given a fixed amount of funding, its budget, for a given amount of time, like a year. To do a global budget, a hospital has to know the care that's supposed to be providing under the budget. So global budget arrangements typically incorporate either a population that is in one way or another assigned to or supposed to use a given hospital, or at least a clear understanding or prediction of the number of patients of different types that a hospital is likely to see, given things like the population size of its area, the services it offers compared to the services offered at other nearby hospitals, and things like that. Note that how one works out the right patient group can be kind of interesting. For the former, assigning patients to a hospital, this is fairly clear for the hospital, but it can raise some issues in that it might involve limiting patient choices, which is not always popular. For the latter method, making a prediction, you wouldn't need to assign the patients to the hospitals and require that they use a particular hospital, but then you do need a way to make a prediction sufficiently accurately for the hospital to plan and make a budget. Global budgets also typically incorporate an understanding of the scope of the services the hospital will be responsible to provide to patients under the global budget. So now, once you have a population, or a population estimate at least, and a scope of services, then the hospital and the intermediary can work out the amount of the budget the hospital will be expected to operate under. The amount of the budget obviously would vary with the size of the population and the scope of the services. Using the budget then, the hospital will be expected to provide all the included services to the included patients. Hospitals are not paid in this system based on the services they actually use or the cost of hospital care that actually turns out to be needed or other things. So this is a bit like, even a lot like, a global capitation model in that way. One general aspect of global budgets is that they often work best when they capture a large share, maybe even all, of the business of a hospital. So a case where, for example, one intermediary works with the hospital and covers most of the patients that the hospital is going to see. Or maybe a situation where somehow multiple separate intermediaries can be organized to work together to work out a global budget for the hospital. Global budgets are harder to use when there are many intermediaries, each making their own deals with hospitals, though that's not to say it hasn't been tried in a variety of situations.